Hey guys, it's Nick from Taylor Timepieces, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about something really interesting, and it's how to combat those people who just don't really get watches, and it's people how to navigate the ever-changing landscape of the watch industry. And this video idea kind of came about when I was wearing a piece the other day, and my girlfriend said it looked tacky, so. Uh, got me thinking, basically how do you handle it when, your tastes are different than the taste of someone else, and how can you, have a respectful discourse without losing your head, especially in these forums, things like that. So let's get into it. I mean, as I said, some say it's too flashy, some call it basic. In the watch world, opinions they could be loud, and oftentimes they're divided and unfiltered. But here's the truth: I think that a lot of taste is subjective. Some people might like a Frank Mueller, some people might like a small date just 36. It's all a matter of what you personally like. And I think that the real collectors know how to move through all the noise and conduct themselves in a way that is um, respectful to other people. So I guess, um, like I said, we're going to be talking about the haters of watches, and kind of how to navigate the many different tastes that you see in the watch industry. I think first off, I think breaking something down, hate in the watch space usually comes down to three categories. The first of which is price envy. People hate it, what they can't afford. I think it's plain and simple. You get those guys, that kind of client or that kind of gentleman is someone who says, "Hey, um, I think your gold Vatron is ugly because it's I can tell the same time on my phone." Um, and it's guys that say, hey, this Seiko works just as well as your Datejusts. And so that's kind of um, the first people that we deal with. The second of which um, is trend fatigue. I think that when everyone has something, albeit a simple Datejust or um, a Rolex Submariner, I think that people get really tired of it. And when you see it so often, you just kind of become desensitized to other people's tastes. And, there's nothing wrong with having a Submariner on your wrist, nothing wrong with having something like a Cartier on your wrist. I think that people just get tired of it. And, they want to see something new and interesting. And when they don't see that, they tend to, um, have a lot of frustration. I think the third category is really interesting. It is uh, something that you don't see as often, but it's people that have that identity crisis. It's they see a loud watch, or they see something that is just maybe um, might feel like overcompensating. You know, whereas to you and me, a 45 millimeter Hublot might be a statement piece, might be something that you're enjoying. Those haters might, uh, not like it, and see it as you trying to show off. So those are kind of the three categories that you see when you're dealing with the hate of your collection. And I think the key there is to not build your collection based on the approval of Reddit, and build your collection off of the occasions that you enjoy and your personal experiences and how they resonate with you. If you work in finance, Clean Date Dust or JLC Reverso really does fit that mold. If you're a creative guy, or girl, there's nothing wrong with a funky vintage piece. An Omega or even a Nomos can speak louder to you, and there should be nothing wrong with that. And if people are shaming you for your interests and your your beliefs, then, maybe they're not the kind of people, of course, you want to be associating with. If you're a one watch kind of guy, you might want a 36 millimeter Explorer or, simple Grand Seiko on bracelet. None of these are incorrect choices. It just comes down to a matter of personal taste. And I think that if you're buying watches to impress people who aren't in the room with you, you're collecting wrong. And again, the amount of guys that will come up to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying this watch. I had one particular client who said, I'm thinking about buying a world timer, but all my friends have Rolexes. What do you think? And I said, get what you like. And, that's important. I think that, when it comes to your personal taste, if someone says you're too gaudy or generic, or maybe they don't like what you like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think you have to stay unbothered and really remember that the loudest opinions in the room come from the people that are least experienced with their collection. I think that there's a way, of course, to educate a buyer or maybe steer someone in the direction of a different piece if they're asking for opinions. But there's so many unsolicited opinions online and unprompted opinions that it does really kind of muddle the waters of sharing your love for horology online. And I think that if I was this kind of person who liked, a watch that was off the beaten path, I just wouldn't really debate it. If they're being a troll, let them be a troll, and enjoy your watch on your wrist and buy what you like. Don't buy what's cool, because if you follow the trend, one day that trend will be over and you'll be stuck with a watch that you were not too out about. So again, if you have a piece that's interesting or maybe off the beaten path, Frank Mueller or Hublot, or even something, interesting Omega, I would love to see it. Put in the comments. I'd love to talk about your collection. And if it's something that, you might not think other people would appreciate, even if it's a smaller watch of lesser value, I would, again, please show off your collection. We'd love to see it. There's a place for everyone here on this channel, and I really appreciate you guys giving Taylor Timepieces a listen. Thanks so much, and I hope to catch you on the next one.